Hi guys, I'm gonna make another gardening video. Yeah, some stuff is different, a lot of it's the same. Stuff's looking good. I got the mushroom log pile over. Thin logs are here, the big rounds are where I'm putting my sprinkler on to try and get them more moisture. These are getting buried in over here. I harvested my garlic patch and then doubled the size of this one. I buried all of the comfrey in it. Cut it back 2 days ago and it's already starting to grow back. But so I buried comfrey all down this patch, and I'm going to be using this from there, over to the end as an expanded garlic bed. Making one more in the fall, and then rejuvenating this one in the fall. Embarrassed to show back here because, well, there's a lot of weeds. A lot of bindweed. This is all bindweed. Tore it down, tore it up, and then it's right back. Good news for this though is that I have and then the log, thing for watering, trying to get the overhead sprinkler to go above the trees so it gets more even. I have predatory mites on the way from the Department of Agriculture that eat bindweed. So hopefully I'm finally going to have a permanent solution for this. It takes years. You have to let the bindweed grow out while it's doing it. But the idea is that the mites poke so many holes in the leaves that it sucks all the energy out of the root and then kills it from the root up. Squash is doing well back here. It's coming up. Got tons of mushrooms. I need to figure out what kinds of mushrooms these are because I've got a ton of them. I think they're shiitake. Yeah, I think they're shiitake. But I'd rather be sure before I start eating them. But anyway, ton of mushrooms coming up back here. They're liking the shade, I think, from the bindweed. And then I've also been watering pretty diligently back here this year. So, yeah, that's part of it. Squash, mushrooms, squash, mushrooms. The honeyberry bushes, this one's got bindweed all over it as well, I thought. But they're generally doing okay. I can weed later. But so sooner or later I'll have honeyberries. They put on some flowers this year. Not a ton, and I didn't get any berries, but did put something on. This is a new addition. This is the Sweet Hips Rose. Rose bush that's grown for the hips. So trying to grow this out. I like rose hip tea, so I'm giving that a shot. The asparagus, I managed my first asparagus harvest this year. The asparagus is doing fine. There are a couple of huge weeds back there that I need to take out. I don't know what those are, but not what they're supposed to be. This is the last year for this tree. It's tilted sideways. It's just not gonna, it's too late for me to try and bring it back up. So I'm gonna tear it out and get something new. I don't know what kind it is. Should probably check that. Red Fuji. Oh, bummer. There goes my Fuji tree. Squash. I think this is zucchini. Those two previous ones were were scallop squashes, patty pans. This is the zucchini. Another patty pan, another summer squash. I forget what kind. Maybe an 8-ball zucchini. Let's go over to the annual side. Can finally see my strawberries now that the bushes are down. They are not really growing. They're not dying off, but they're not really growing because they get shaded out so much by the comfrey most of the year. I'm also trying to grow some sunflowers in here just for something visually different to stand above the comfrey in the fall. Those are supposed to be sunflowers grown for seeds, they're called super snackers or something like that. I don't know, some funky name, but should be okay. I've been trying to keep up with weeding as much as possible, so it's real patchy where I have weeded and where I haven't. I was just poking at this today. This is onions, marigolds. Those two marigolds are volunteers. Miner's lettuce or winter purslane. This self-seeds and comes back year after year, so I threw it all through this bed and wanted it to get started. And I think it finally did. Here's one that I didn't think I was going to get, not the bindweed next to it. This is red sorrel. It's a perennial, it grows in the spring. I don't really like the flavor, but I'm gonna try and get it when it gets a little more established and get it a little earlier, and hopefully it'll taste better. Dragon tongue beans, a few carrots. My carrots haven't been coming up this year. I got a few over here in between other stuff, but that was it. But I like the dragon tongue beans. Basil, more marigolds. Those were planted. Peppers are all down this row. Can I get a shot from this end? So the peppers go down about halfway. Well, they go down halfway down the road. So that's the row. That's a 11 or 12 foot bed of peppers and 4 foot wide. Different kinds, but this is the paprika peppers. It's really too early for most peppers, but I've been eating them too already, so that's why there aren't a lot on there, is because I've been eating a ton. This is more dragon tongue beans just stuck in a corner that I needed to stick something here, and I said, I have more beans, so threw the dragon tongues in here. The kale patch, I've been harvesting a whole lot from it. I'm thinking I'm going to go through and prune out some of the kale plants to give them more room, because this gets super overgrown, really, like it was really overgrown. Speaking of overgrown, this is also kale. It's waist high, right around there. This is called 1,000 head kale. That's not kale, that's a weed. But it was originally grown for animal forage, supposedly. Sorry, tossing that out. But we don't mind the flavor. It's not too bad. So we're going to try and make kale chips out of it, but I'm leaving it to grow. It's already here, and I'm hoping that it'll make like good bulk kale chips for storage, or like, dry them out for soups in the winter or something like that. Like, I'm hoping this can be a good storage crop because it's really easy to harvest and really easy to process, and yeah. The peas, I have 3 different kinds of snap peas here. I want to say this is Cascadia. I forget the name of this one, but it grows purple pods. Half the plants grow purple pods, half grow green. And then this one is, I want to say, dwarf gray or something like that. This is our least favorite. I'm not regrowing that one. The peas are about done. And in its place, these are pole beans here. These are going to grow up all over these 3 trellises, basically. This right here is sweet potato vine that's already starting to take off and grow up this. So I'm going to have a big sweet potato patch over here and have it take in, and those keep growing essentially until winter. So it's a really long-term growing thing, but good use of space, and Sarah loves sweet potatoes, so we're doing it. I have more pole beans over here. And then I have one more sweet potato plant on the far side of this trellis. So yeah, sweet potato pole beans. Over here, we've been harvesting beets. This was a row of beets right here. Kind of this part started maturing faster than the stuff at the back. I think it got better sun or something like that. But so we've already harvested a ton of beets, but there are more ready every day. They're not huge, but they're reasonably sized. Yeah, market size anyway. The tomatoes have finally started filling in. I'm really liking this, having one row of tomatoes down the middle of a 4-foot bed and then planting lower crops on either side. I think this is working out real well for me. And it gives really easy access to the tomatoes, and it gives them a lot of structure and stuff. A lot of support, so. Let's see. Tomatillos. The tomatillos are huge bushes already. This one's already growing out the top of its cage that's waist high. Have rosemary in the back. This area was covered in thistles. We came out and weeded it. Or Sarah came out and weeded it, so it's better now. Gotta move the onion flower away. I might have onion seeds this year. And then this is okra down here in between small regrowing thistle plants. The okra has been getting torn up by the grasshoppers. So we've had a grasshopper kind of epidemic in Colorado. And this is kind of the only thing that's getting really destroyed. They'll kind of nibble on other stuff, but they're just destroying that. And then my onion bed down this side. I like onions. And I grow them every year, and I'm gonna keep growing them because they grow real well and real easily. I have a couple of different varieties this year. One of them is a yellow storage onion. The other one makes kind of long, thin, almost shallot-looking red onions that are better for salads and stuff. Oh, almost forgot. My gooseberries are loaded. These are ready to harvest. Or getting there anyway. They're delicious. I have a few different kinds of gooseberries. I forget which are which. I know that's a Jostaberry. Over in the far side is an Arapaho black something, but it's a black currant. Gooseberry, red currant, gooseberry, black concert currants, the most common black kind. So I've got a good spread of different kinds of currants. They're all coming up. This is my first year really getting a lot of gooseberries, and they don't sell them in the stores. They're delicious. I get why they don't sell them in the stores. They're real painful to pick, or unpleasant to pick. A lot of them have huge thorns on them. So I've gotten cut up a few times, but just getting a few handfuls. But for a home garden thing, it's putting out a whole lot, and it takes zero maintenance. Like, all I do is chop it back to the size I want it in the fall. Other than that, I leave it be. Another look at... And these are about the size of a gumball. Milk dud, dime sized. But so relatively big fruit and tastes good, and I'm going with it. Last thing I want to show you back here is the blackberries and raspberries. Excuse me. Lemon balm, mint. My rose bush needs to be pruned and deadheaded. I never got around to it this spring. I'm a bad rose owner. Blackberries. We're going to have a whole lot of blackberries very soon. A whole lot of blackberries. And bindweed. And then raspberries. This raspberry, I let it grow over I didn't cut back all of the canes in the fall. So it's putting on raspberries earlier in the season than it usually would, and then it's going to put on a bigger crop later. So this is a relatively small crop for now. I've been eating pretty much everything that's ripe off of it. Ooh, that one looks good. But it's going to continue through the summer. And then, my blueberry plant. I've tried to plant probably 5 or 6 blueberries in this bed. I finally have one survivor. One blueberry survivor. So I'm excited about that. Well, that's the Brit garden. Purple pole beans back here. They hide, so I forgot about them, but they'll grow up these stakes and provide a nice backdrop. Now I think that's everything I got for the time being. Thanks much. Happy 4th of July. It's, I want to say the 7th. It's the 6th today. But happy 4th, and take care, y'all.